Welcome back to the final episode of Creating Your Life on Money and Wealth, episode 36, Basic Investments, part 2. Okay, this is Mark back for the final Money and Wealth episode before we go on to the next series. And we're going to continue where we left off last time. Last time, as you remember, we were talking about the 17 golden rules for financial security, and we'd gone through the first several. Today we'll continue that, and then we'll close out this series. So, financial safety. Rule number 7, don't use leverage. In other words, don't borrow money to get rich, taking the risk of losing everything. If you want to leverage a business, leverage something in your life, this is the kind of thing that people lose everything all the time on. So be careful, especially if it's a get-rich-quick kind of scheme. Now, probably most of you listening to this don't need to worry about this, but do keep in mind that when somebody is talking about leveraging an asset that you currently have to borrow money, to take some kind of speculative risk, you're likely to lose everything. It tends to be the pattern. Rule number 8, don't let anyone make your decisions. Never give signing authority to financial advisors or lawyers. The whole point of this Creating Your Life series is for you to learn how to create your life and to be in charge of your own decisions. People who depend on others often get taken by both conscious and unconscious con artists. People can mean well, and in the process, you suffer for it. So make your own decisions. Learn enough so that you can make your own decisions. If you are going to rely on other people, realize the risk that you're running by doing so. Because again, rarely do people create your life for you. They're out to create their lives. And so they can use your imagination, your decision-making authority to benefit themselves, even if they think they're benefiting you in the process. But there are a lot of people out there who will want you to take the risk while they make the decision. Beware of that. Rule number 9, don't ever do anything you don't understand. Again, this is allowing other people to make decisions, other people to control your life. It's very easy for con artists to plant a picture in your mind of what's possible. And later on in the books that I'm writing, I'll be writing one on language and rhetoric. And in that process, I'll talk about how people can implant images with language and control your behavior and your imagination in the process. The best advice, though, when you're talking about finances, make sure before you make that decision, you understand, and you understand it thoroughly. Beware of trusting other people. Rule number 10, don't depend on any one investment institution or person for your safety. This is another way of saying don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you have all your money in a particular stock, or you're trusting one bank or one financial institution or one broker, I believe that if you have a lot of money, or if you're building up money, keep money in more than one banking institution if you're going to have more, if you're going to have a lot there. Make sure you have your investments in a variety of things to balance it out. This gets back to the basics of what Harry Brown is talking about, and I'll give you an example of that shortly. Rule number 11, create a bulletproof portfolio for protection, and this is the Harry Brown portfolio. The idea behind this portfolio is safety, stability, and simplicity. It's easy to understand, it's safe, and it's stable because it puts your assets, your financial assets, in a variety of things so that if something takes a hit, likely something else is going up to balance it out. So it accounts for 4 conditions: prosperity, when the economy is good; inflation, when government is printing up money and inflating the currency supply; recession, like we've been in; as well as deflation, when prices are going down, but in a way that's causing people problems and it's harder for them to make money. What you do essentially is put 25% of your assets into 4 areas. Stocks are good for prosperity. We're in a prosperity cycle right now, so stocks are really good. But this would be saying of all your assets, only 25% of them max should go into stocks. 25% into bonds. This accounts for both prosperity and deflation cycles. 25% of your assets in gold or silver coins. Gold coins, this is not gold stocks, but actual gold that you own. And make sure you have a reputable company that does this, so that there is fake gold out there, or people who know how to plate lead and other things. So there are ways of making sure that the gold you have is real. And then 25% in cash on hand. That could be in a savings account, but as likely it would be in a safe someplace in your house. Not a mattress. That's probably not a good idea. But by keeping these balanced, you're able to sense stabilize and sustain whatever the current level of assets are. And then once a year, look at them again. If stocks are really booming and you've earned a lot there, you may want to reallocate whenever anything goes above 35% or below 15%. In other words, if one of these goes 10% either way, you want to reallocate to get back to that 25%. This is the basic bulletproof portfolio idea. It's not an investment idea about making a lot of money, but it's about preserving your assets and being safe in the long term. Okay, rule 12, speculate only with money you can afford to lose. If you're going to speculate, if you're going to put money in the stock market, say to yourself, okay, it's okay for me to lose this money. If it's just like gambling in Las Vegas. Now, sometimes gambling, you think you can count cards, or a system that may increases your odds, but remember, there's a reason why the house wins. Same with stocks. There are people who really know what they're doing there, and it's speculation. So if you're going to speculate, make sure if all of that goes away, if you're going to invest in some friend's enterprise, if you're going to fund something that's supposed to give you a return, but if it's speculation in any way, make sure you only use money you can afford to lose. Rule 13, keep some assets outside the country in which you live. Now, this is if you have a much more significant amount of money. If you're only in the thousands of dollars, it doesn't make sense. But if you're doing your basic portfolio and you start getting into six-figure assets, this is something to look into. And if you get the right kind of financial advisor, you'll know how to do this. The idea behind geographic diversification is that governments can do bad things, and this kind of protects you from bad government decisions. Rule 14, beware of tax avoidance schemes. Tax shelters may be disallowed by the IRS, so beware of that. IRAs and 401k plans help reduce taxes and are not controversial at this point, although you need to be aware that Congress in the United States, there has been some talk of confiscating 401ks. The reason why is that there's a lot about government. They are out to protect people, or that's the excuse given. And they will claim your money if they think that you're being taken advantage of by Wall Street. 401ks, for example, rely on investment strategies. So you can imagine with the next stock market collapse, or the stock market bursting its bubble and going down by more than half, it'll affect a lot of 401k retirement plans. And so in the process, Congress could say, hey, Wall Street is taking unfair advantage of you, hurting citizens. We're going to confiscate this, and we're going to take over everybody's retirement plan. In the meantime, they're going to do the same thing with that money they did with Social Security and other things. They're going to spend it on what they want, go into more massive debt, and at the end of the day, not be accountable for what they do. There's a lot of things the government does that's really a pyramid scheme. Doesn't appear that way initially, and a lot of people can benefit from these plans. But in the meantime, the long-term possibility of it helping you. At the end of the day, you can't fully trust Wall Street, and you can't fully trust the government. You can't fully trust big businesses. This is why trusting yourself is the best way to go. So, but the extent to which you have IRAs or 401ks, beware that even though they're not controversial, there's still a risk there. And anything that upsets the IRS, not a good idea. The IRS does not always work in a way that is best for the individual, to say the least. So, doing things where you're trying to avoid IRS, be careful. That's going to be a problem. It's better to comply and to make sure you're going along, short of when whatever revolution comes. Um, I do not in any way recommend not following what the IRS wants. Rule number 15, ask the right questions. If you're going to work with a broker or a financial advisor, is there any risk? Is this investment safe? How much does the investment yield? Is this company an expected takeover target? Do the technical factors favor investing now? Ask some questions so you have the knowledge, so you are making the decision and not just trusting the person you're working with. As much as possible, empower your own decision making. Rule number 16, enjoy yourself with a budget for pleasure. Make sure you're not so in debt and you're not so wrapped up in financial things that you don't have something to live a life of leisure and doing the things you want to do. Don't go into debt for these things, but make sure you're budgeted, you're out of debt, and you're able to have some fun with your wealth. Rule 17, whenever you're in doubt about a course of action, it's always better to err on the side of safety. If it's good to trust your instincts. If you start feeling nervous about something, that's probably a good sign that you shouldn't be going forward. So if you're going to err on the side of safety. Better to let go of making a lot of money than take a risk that's going to collapse on you. The idea of everything I'm talking about up, all 36 episodes, is to help you understand how important it is for you to create your life, to be accountable for your thoughts, your words, your actions, both in terms of your imagination, your choices, in terms of understanding money and wealth, government, business, and everything else. Build your real skills, both general and specific. Vary them in such a way. Remember, your skills are your wealth. And be flexible so that if conditions change, you can change with them. In my life, I've done a lot of different things. I've worked retail. I've taught at business colleges, at university. I've done stand-up training for organizations. I've done my own consulting work in Silicon Valley. I've worked for a semiconductor company. I've learned, done learning and development. There's a variety of things that I do. That's helped me a lot. And that's one way of looking at your life. Don't channel your life and put all your eggs in one basket. As much as possible, vary it. The idea is for your locus of control to be internal. In other words, you control your life. You create your life. You control your destiny. So the more you are empowered to make decisions and be independent, the better. The more you're dependent on external things, government, institutions, businesses, big businesses, you're allowing others to control your destiny. That doesn't really allow you to create your life. The goal is freedom here. And remember, true freedom is choosing, and choosing wisely. The more information you have, the more skills you have, the more trust you build in yourself, the more likely you're going to have freedom. And that brings us to the end of this series. What I recommend you do now, if you haven't already, is go to markandrealexander.com and join my mailing list. You can see to the right there, the little orange box. If you join that email list, everything's free. There's no cost. You get a free copy of Cats Are from Mars, Dogs Are from Venus, a short little humorous book I put together. There's also free podcasts, a bunch of podcasts on creating your life that you can download to your MP3 player and listen to. Links to more videos and other materials. And you'll get an email occasionally from me when there's something new coming out, new one of these videos, a new book. And you can go through the website and see a lot of interesting content. But join the mailing list and you'll get some valuable things out of that. Right now on Amazon Kindle and paperback are the first 3 books of my 12-book series, Creating Your Life, Money and Wealth, and Sex and Romance. The next in this series of YouTube videos will be on sex and romance, and that will be coming up with episode 37. That's it for now. Thank you very much for joining me for Money and Wealth. Remember, debt is slavery. Get out of debt. hang in there. In a while, I'll be starting the Sex and Romance series. So take care.